Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyard channel. My name is Charisma and today we're meeting in the front yard and we're going to do a 1st of March front yard garden tour. I live on the Oregon coast in a zone 9A and we do these tours typically twice a month for the front yard and the backyard. We also have a side yard that's pretty extensive that I do in a separate video in the summertime. I also have an herb garden that I do separately in the summertime as well. But during the winter months, things have slowed way down and there's not as much to see in those areas. So it becomes like this all-encompassing two time a month tour. Is that right? Yeah. So we'll do the backyard in a couple of weeks, but this is the 1st of March, or the first part of March, and we're gonna walk around the front yard and see what is in bloom and what is getting ready to really shine in the garden. Right off the bat, you will notice we have little narcissus daffodils in bloom in this container. They're all facing where the sun comes up. Super, super cute. Love having this little pocket of sunshine the minute I walk into my garden. Right behind that, we have hellebores in bloom. And this is by far my favorite hellebore. This hellebore was here and I moved in to this property. It was actually in the backyard. We transplanted it. It is what's considered double petaled or full petaled. They're so beautiful and they just bloom and bloom and bloom for months on end. You can see new buds down deep in there. We had a couple of days of pretty intense hail, so we do have a little bit of garden damage due to that. We also have a hellebore in bloom up here, which is also looking really beautiful. Right here, look at that. Isn't that so fantastic? I never did get around coming in here and removing the old foliage. You could see this is last year's foliage. But the new fresh flowers are so gorgeous. I just love, love, love how they look. And you can see this one's a little bit older and falling apart. Right behind that, you can see that our elderberry is already starting to push new growth everywhere, which is so exciting. I'm really looking forward to having that black foliage back in the garden. All right, let's go ahead and swing back around. All of our rhododendrons throughout the property are just getting a hint of color. This one is red, and you can tell because it's got a little blush down deep in there. So all the buds are starting to color up, but they're not ready to open for a little while yet. The other super fun thing that has shown up is this river of muscari, or grape hyacinth, which isn't in bloom yet, but it's super fun just to see that it's come up and it's gonna be so beautiful. I can't wait to see it. We do have a little bit of heather blooming here. This is a very old heather that's planted there. So whenever it gives me a little bit of color, I'm always like, oh, thank you. And then the Edgeworthia has, been kind of the star of the garden for a couple of months now. And it continues to give and be really beautiful. Now the flowers have actually begun to open up. You could see these how they've opened up into little yellow pieces, whereas this is how they've been, not the yellow, but the tight buds all winter. But they kind of face down, and so it doesn't change the look of the plant that much, except that these have started to look a little bit more fluffy. Below the Edgeworthia, we have Iberis or Candy Tuft, which was in bloom last month, and there's still little tiny bits of sparkle here and there, but it is time to cut these back so that they will flush out again and not be quite so woody. We were noticing that the new roses that we just planted have new growth, which is so exciting to see after winter, because that means they lived, right? So all three of them have new growth, which is awesome. And then our rhodie back there, all its buds are swelling. This one is a deciduous rhododendron, and it will bloom before it puts out foliage. And I can see that these buds are already starting to color up just a tiny bit. Okay, we're gonna just keep walking on down here. We have a few more narcissus coming up in this container. All of these containers with the daffodils or narcissus in them, the daffodils all came from a neighbor, and I wasn't sure what variety they were. So it's really fun surprise to see what all is in there, but it looks like there's multiple varieties. So there's these, and you can see they've got a different color foliage than these, which are about to start opening up here soon. The new raised beds that we just put in are stuffed full of tulips. They've gotten quite tall, really exciting. And I'm even seeing a little bud right there. Oh, sorry. And then our hyacinths, I think we just have 3. I think there's just 3 in each one, but this one has a purple one showing up right there. I saw some in the ground that I missed right here. I thought I had dug up and moved, but there's still some there. And then in this one, I'm not seeing any color on those just yet. And then I was noticing my peony has foliage coming up in here, which means this transplant took, which is great because this was in a pot. And then right over there, we have some more hyacinths, and you can see they have a lot more color on them. Different colors and a couple of other little bulbs in there, as well as all of these daffodils. So that's exciting. What isn't super exciting is that all my sweet little crocus came up, and then it got pummeled by hail. So they've all just sort of melted away, and we lost all those sweet little blooms. But there are just a few little buds here, and the purple ones are still nice and tight, which hopefully we'll be able to get more color from them here soon. Well, look, it's just been a couple of hours and they have opened up. How fun is that? And then we've got these over here looking really beautiful. These are my favorites. They're so pretty. See, this little patch has a few more buds on them, and then that purple one's getting opened. Up here, our Arcaria japonica has started to not just bud up, but open up, which is so fun. We've just got little yellow buds all over this. I expect to have a really great show of this spring. And then our white rhododendron also is colored up. And then in front of that, we have more of the purple crocus that have, you know, some of them have been damaged by the weather, and some of them are still just starting to open. So I'm glad to see that they weren't all wrecked. I get to still enjoy a little bit of them. We have a few daffodils coming up here and a few down there, as well as some irises are starting to poke up. Just the foliage, but still exciting. Another pot of hyacinths and daffodils, not quite in color, and a little pocket of narcissus right there. I'm trying to see what else is. All of the columbine is popping up everywhere, so that's exciting. And then we have the winter hazel, which has tons of buds all over it, and will start blooming here very soon. Then we have these heathers. We've got the purple and the white heather. Again, has been blooming for quite some time, which is awesome. Looking really good. Now, down this direction, the medicine garden is really dormant at this point in time. I do see some swollen buds on the blueberries, which is great. That means they took their transplants well. And the ghost viburnum is still blooming. We have walking Egyptian onions that are all nice and tall in this little stand here. And then we do have some vinca blooming here and there. Not all the places have started blooming yet. And then the only thing I wanted to really show you down here, because everything else is fairly dormant, is the primroses that came back. We just keep planting our primroses in this area. Some of them take, some of them don't. Mostly the blues and purples take. And we've got a pink one over there. I have a couple of yellow ones and a couple of red ones, and they tend to bloom a little later. We have this like buttery yellow one right here. I wish they would all bloom at the same time because it would give it a really fun mix, but they kind of take turns. All right. These rhodies bloom really late in the season, so they're still really tight green buds and not really doing anything at this point in time. Well, I think that might be it for the March front yard garden tour. Just take a walk up the one side that we didn't walk down and see if there's anything blooming that I didn't notice from afar. Everything still looks just pretty quiet. Oh, I should say that the vermilionaire that we were monitoring since last March, that was blooming at the beginning of February, finally succumbed to cold weather. It is still very pliable, and I'm just going to cut it back and see if it comes back again, because the one that I had in a different pot last year did come back. So I'm pretty confident that I can just cut it back and it'll come back for me. So we're going to try that out here soon. There's a little bit of winter foliage cleanup that I need to do all around the garden. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video on that because it's really just like little snips and quick cleanups, kind of like here and there everywhere. But I will be taking you along with me in the next week or so with some bigger cleanup projects. Like we have our twinberry that needs to be pruned. Our pampas grasses are about to get pruned right now. Spencer's setting that project up for me. And just a few other things that are, you know, a little bit bigger than just like a couple of inches of of little pruning to do. But we're getting really close to spring. It's really exciting. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're celebrating your life today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.